Oxford and the master's degrees you got from Oxford. When you applied, were you sure? So what masters? What was your first master's degree at Oxford? And were you sure you wanted to pursue that master's, or it's something? How did you land on that master's degree?
Yeah, so my first master's is in refugee and forced migration studies. How did I land on this? Again, it was an interest and curiosity that was built during my undergraduate, having done a class called Contemporary Issues in Africa and Displacement Is. And protected displacement is a contemporary issue. So that's how I landed on it. Yeah, my second master's was a continuation of my interest in displacement, but adding in youth. So I've really been interested in just understanding as much as I can about African youth and what we have to offer. Yeah.
When I go back to the moment when I was preparing to go to Oxford was daunting. Like just thinking about the fact that I'll be starting my studies at Oxford. And I think by that time, as you said earlier, even in my case, the only thing I knew about Oxford, I didn't know anyone who had gone to Oxford. The only thing I knew about Oxford was maybe Oxford English Dictionary in high school. But anyway,
yeah.
When you were preparing to go to Oxford, how are you feeling?
I don't know that to be right to say I was in ecstasy. That sounds like a wrong word to use. I was in a sense of excitement. Like, yeah. And if someone was to take me back, I'd slightly reduce the excitement and bring in reality. One of my profs had told me, read, start preparing early. Okay. I should have done that.
Is it like start preparing for the course you do, or start preparing for the life there?
See, you can only prepare so much for the life here because you have to leave and come here because it's a different environment. You can't simulate what Oxford will be in Nairobi, but there's some things you can preempt. You can't simulate what navigating racism or navigating being a minority would look like back in Nairobi. It's slightly hard. But I think you can simulate what intellectual rigor might look like. Yeah. I should have written more. I should have read more. I should have joined more research groups when I was in Nairobi. But yeah, and in retrospect, maybe that explains my work right now. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. So just briefly, because now I want to know what are some of the moments that stood out during your time in Oxford? It was 2 years, right? Was it from 2018 to 2020?
The study process itself, the classes, as I said before I joined, and also my first year, I was like in cloud nine. I was walking in a trance. That stood out for me. Also the beauty of the place, the beauty of people I met here. I think I met more groups of diverse Africans here than I'd ever met anywhere. It's interesting that I had to come to UK to meet them here. Networks stand out for me. And I think there's so much. I think I can write lots of essays on what stood out for me and what keeps on standing out for me from here. But for me, it's networks and people and the experience itself.
Okay, so at this point, I want to. So there is this topic that I've been curious about a lot of late. We co-wrote a piece with a friend about failure, fear and failure, and importance of talking about our failures. Because I think when we share our stories, the story is powerful. And I think for a student listening to this, they are like, I cannot relate. Like these guys, they know what they are doing and all those things, which is wrong. And so I want us to talk, and I chose Oxford purposely because I think that is most recent educational or institutional place where you were. If you do not mind, do you mind sharing anything around failure or fear or feeling like an imposter? Did you ever feel like an imposter while at Oxford?
I think that's a very good question and one worth talking about. And I think we present incomplete image if we do not talk about like the lows. And as I'm listening to you, I find myself feeling a bit squeamish with the use of failure, the term failure, and I realize maybe it's no longer a vocabulary in my my dictionary of language that I use. Maybe detour or just changes, yeah. And someone might be listening and saying she's trying to rationalize and condition her mind. Yeah, it works for me. For me, I'll redefine it as what are the detours for me like what were the things I had not expected that ended up happening for me. And in retrospect, I think of it as nervous breakdown. So my first year, I had a nervous breakdown. And I read a beautiful quote. I wish I had my journal here where I could open it and say, sometimes a nervous breakdown is just the way that your body is speaking to you. And it's warnings that it would have given you earlier, but you fail to listen to them. So I think the pressure, first, this is a new country you're living in. There's a pressure of being the first person. So like the first person was doing it from your family, in your community. So I normally joke with my friends. I had almost 30 people take me to the airport when I was coming to the UK. 30 people, like almost 30 people. The entire village, you know.
Yes.
So like when I'd be sitting down and I'm writing an essay and it's just coming up. It's not an essay just for me. It's an essay for Kenya. It's an essay for Nairobi.
Yeah.
For the people who brought me to the airport. You know, almost 30 people. So there's pressure which I imagine that other people are putting on me. There's a pressure I was putting on myself. Man, I was a perfectionist. I think I'm slowly figuring it out. So I wanted my things to look a certain way. I wanted to read all the 20 articles for all the 3 classes. So adding that almost adds to 50 articles, and no human. I think with ChatGPT right now, at least I can read that much papers because I'll ask it to summarize for me, pick out the key arguments for me. Yeah, so that was me out here trying to do so much than my 22-year-old body could handle. And I stopped eating well. I did not incorporate exercising. So I was taking care of this. There's a friend and a mentor who says I was taking care of my head. I forgot my body. And that doesn't work. Yeah, one thing will have to give. That definitely influenced how fast I could finish things, how best I could do things. Yeah, so that was one of the major detours for me. I've since had a couple of detours, but it's more of like, well, we tried, we learned. Yeah, we now figured out how to move past that. Yeah.
I like that. Someone who is currently packing their bags and they are preparing to start their graduate studies abroad. With the power of hindsight, just one piece of advice you would give them.
I think for me, I'd say first, always be super grateful. It's such a huge achievement. Don't lose sight of that. But I'd say embrace a spirit of learning and a spirit of curiosity, creativity. Realize that you are about to embark in a period of really fast. The learning here is on steroids. Yeah, because like a master's course is like 9 months, which ideally should be like 2 years. So it's on steroids, you know. I'd say embrace the power of flexibility and learning. Yeah, don't beat up yourself. And I know I embrace everything Gen Z. I value some Gen Z tenets. So like your mental health is key. Self-care is key. Whatever self-care means for you. I'm not advocating for therapy only. Different things mean therapy for people. But I think the best thing I'd say is learn how to work together with your body. Yeah.
Learn to work together with your body. So we've talked about those. I don't want to say those detours. Let's call it detours. Then the highlights. What are the highlights? So I don't want to preempt, but I know you got UK. You were named UK Rare Rising Star at some point. Yeah, one of the highlights. What are some of the highlights during your time as a grad student?
You mentioned the Rare Rising Star, which I celebrate in retrospect. I'd say I'll start with the Rare Rising Star. So it's an award that was given to top 10 Black students, either Africans or people with African heritage, studying and living in the UK graduate level, and who were doing really incredible stuff. I remember one of the Kenyans I knew who came first position during your year, and I got it in the year 2019. I came 5th place of the 10 incredible individuals who were recognized as really rare rising stars. I remember when I got it, I dissociated from the award. I couldn't believe, I didn't allow myself to think of myself as a rare rising star.
But
And
why?
now that I'm talking about why, it's because I don't know whether it's imposter and maybe the nervous breakdown. Like, it sort of took me to a place of lack of self-belief and lack of reduced confidence. It took a while to relearn how to have that confidence, because you're like, the people who see it will know, like, I didn't get a distinction in my first master's. That's the thing. You come to Oxford, there's also like A+++ to grades. I dislike exams. So I was like, my classmates will see this and they'll know, or even my professors will see this and they'll be like, but that girl struggled with essays. Anyway, right now, I'm embracing it unapologetically. I think they saw something in me. I might not see it, but they saw something in me. Yeah. My other highlights has been friendships. Friendship with other incredible humans. And I was telling a friend this morning that the beauty with this place is the networks that you build are not like networks only during the period that I studied here. Like, they're continuous. The fact that I studied here and was part of communities here means that I'll be able to build further communities from them wherever I go. Yeah. That's a greatest highlight for me. And of course, graduating with 2 masters from Oxford. Again, my mind doesn't let it settle so much. Maybe, but I've heard from people that it's an achievement.
I think it is, because I mean, and these are master's degrees from Oxford, 2 of them at 25. I don't think many people have done or have been able to get that. So I think you should be proud of yourself.